are progressing well in the campaign for this by-election for Chad Blackman. There is a very good response on the ground, whether, we've been canvassing in the areas, the interactions generally with Chad. Chad is no stranger to the area. He's been working on the ground for the last year, and his interaction with the people has been relatively positive thus far. Our office today, we're working on getting the mail-outs done. The staff are working behind the scenes and getting everything ready for the polling stations for election day. And generally, the team is very upbeat. Chad is on the ground also doing a lot of walk and talk sessions where he gets to go into the communities and meet with people after walking through and hearing the concerns. So generally, I think it's been a very positive campaign. One of the challenges I think that we have encountered, however, is on the other side. There have been a number of attacks being made both on Chad personally, but also generally on the policies of the government. I think it is unfortunate that the other side is taking these kind of cheap political shots at Chad's disclosure about his health. As a former Minister of Education, I think he has a responsibility to lead from the front to make sure that as somebody who will lead the national nutrition policy, that he himself is also someone who puts himself forward as making changes to healthy lifestyles and healthy habits in terms of behavior. And as somebody, from my perspective, as someone who as a politician has risked themselves in letting the public know that we are like everybody else, I think it is unfortunate that a political organization would use what he has said in such a negative way. The good thing is, though, that the people in the community have actually been reaching out to Chad and been encouraging to him and also saying to them that they want to change their own behaviors as well. People have been offering him soups, they've been offering him raw provisions, especially when he's on the campaign trail dealing with the agricultural community. And so I think that a lot of positive has come out of his disclosure and his honesty about what he wants to see, not only for his own personal health, but also for the health of average Barbadians in St. James North, but also for wider Barbados as well. And of course, the mandate that he has in relation to children as former Minister of Education. Just 2 days ago, after our posters had gone up, I drove around the constituency and I noticed that Chad's posters had actually been torn down. Now, I know they're not being torn down by Barbados Labour Party supporters or people who are intending on election day to vote for Chad Blackman. And we've not made a big deal about it. We've simply said to our teams, go back out and refresh the posters that have been torn down from Chad. I find it therefore somewhat shocking this morning to wake up to hear reports that our teams are in some way taking down Felicia John's posters, and I want to make it clear that the Barbados Labour Party does not operate in that way. We have teams, we give the teams very clear instructions as to what they're supposed to do. They're to place the posters on the poles, and it has nothing, we are not interested in tearing down any posters. If they don't have enough posters to put on poles, I would kindly ask them to desist from taking down the posters that we are placing on the poles, right? We have kept a very clean election. We've tried to stick to the issues of the people in St. James North, and we're not going to be distracted in this campaign by these types of shenanigans which try to make people feel as though we're trying to outdo an opponent who clearly has her own challenges.
Lastly, what are some of the major issues or the current issues that you guys have there?
Yeah, I mean, of course, people want roads done, but St. James North is no different than any other constituency across Barbados. People want the ease of being able to drive on proper roads. Of course, people have raised the issues of flooding and the issues of drainage in the community, whether it's in the Trents area. And we've basically said to the people in Trents, this administration, unlike any other, has spent the time, certainly in this financial year, to make sure that we have engaged the services of flood engineers to be able to address the issues of flooding in the Trents area, in the Goodland Gardens area, in the Ashbean Village area, and another 4 areas across the country. We are not sitting idle and just playing sport with this whole thing of drainage. We recognize that the flow of water impacts people's homes, it impacts people's livelihoods, it impacts their businesses, and we appreciate and understand that we have to do the necessary studies and the assessments to be able to get to the point where we can make the changes in terms of the flow of water across communities. So the people of Trent can be assured that that is in progress. As we develop the civic centre, the engineers are working on the drainage flow within the Trent area. There are a couple of other areas in the community where we have seen the settlements of water as a result of requiring additional wells needing to be dug upstream, and the ministry is aware of that, and we're working through systematically and prioritizing where the worst case areas are and being able to apply the resources as necessary for those.
Canvassed the area yesterday, and one of the issues in North Carlton for the residents here is that they want a playing field, ma'am.
Yeah.
They've been crying out for a playing field.
Yeah.
How likely is Chad, if he becomes the MP, the new MP, how likely is he able to deliver on that for the residents in this area?
So I think I can speak with a certain level of confidence in saying that in the time that I have been in this constituency in the last few weeks, I have also recognized that there's a shortage of space in terms of playing fields. You know, I represent St. Michael's South East. We have several playing fields: Map Hill, Parkinson Field, Meadow Road. You know, we have a number of areas where people can recreate. The same is not true for this constituency of St. James North. There's a lot of development going on in this community. There are not a lot of large spaces that are available. I think we have obviously we're going to have to look to see where we can perhaps acquire lands to be able to facilitate the recreation that is required by the community, and also to be able to redo, for instance, the areas like the Western Community Center. We've already started to do some work on that, so that in this financial year, the reconstruction of that building will take place. But you will notice that there are small spaces currently where people have to recreate, and that is not a deliberate policy on government. That is just the lay of the land, and therefore we may have to utilize the schools. I think there's already discussions with St. Albans to be able to see how we can utilize playing fields within existing schools, so that you can move seamlessly from education classes during the day into being able to have the community utilize the existing facilities of playing fields at the various schools. I think it requires a different approach than what we would do in some of the other communities, where there is a lot of land available to be able to create community centers and certainly sports facilities.